thought you said that I was childish for you looking at me and me getting angry.
No, but what I am doing is I'm just telling you to stop. What you did was stop it.
Daddy's
stop
pushing
it
me.
now.
Daddy's pushing me.
So we woke up, we got dressed, and we left about 9 o'clock-ish, give or take 10 minutes. And we decided to...
You say we left 9 o'clock.
And we walked from our apartment to the Independent Visitor Centre. We got a map of downtown Philadelphia, and then we watched a short film of drone shots of the city, which was nice.
Then we went to see the Liberty Bell.
By the Liberty Bell. What is it about this imperfect, fragile bell that draws so many here? Why are you here? Isaac Norris, Speaker of the Colonial Pennsylvania Assembly, ordered a bell with a biblical inscription for the State House in Philadelphia. Originally called the State House Bell, it would later be known by a name familiar to all.
Let the bell be cast by the best workman, with the following words well shaped in large letters round it. Proclaim liberty throughout all the land to all the inhabitants thereof.
The bell was often rung to summon members of the assembly, like Benjamin Franklin, to meetings.
The bell rings and I must go among the grave ones and talk politics.
It also rang to inform citizens of important announcements in the State House Square.
Then we had to get a look around George Washington's original house.
They said he just slipped right over in the center
Then we walked around historic Philadelphia.
Come on, Mom, run, run.
Then we visited Elfred's Alley, which is the oldest residential street in the United States. Is it not something like Boston, isn't that like newer? filming it. We then went to Independence Hall where the Declaration of Independence was first signed. We went to the courthouse or something, the state courthouse. We had 2 tours of the building.
And look at this building around you, right? You can see it has different colors. I don't know if you notice, there's blue back there, there's white, and there's pumpkin spice here, right? These are based on the original colors of the building. So what you're seeing, this is how the building looked when it was constructed. The building was constructed from 1732 to 1753. So this building was constructed before the American Revolutionary War. And as you look at this architecture is called Georgian architecture. Like King George, their king, right? So that means this place represents British culture, British identity. That's what you're seeing around you. And I want you to notice about, how do you know this is Georgian architecture? Do you want me to show you what is Georgian architecture here? Yes. Want to see it? Take a moment, look to your left. How many windows do we have there? 3. Look to your right. How many windows do we have there? 3. How many doors do we have here? 2.
1.
Okay, one. Quite clear. I heard it too. In this way? So what do you notice about Georgian architecture? Very symmetrical. Symmetry, order, balance is part of Georgian architecture. And that's what you're seeing there. And actually, to create this architecture, symmetrical architecture, they had to create a fake door. Look, which one do you think is the fake door? It's that one. Yes, it doesn't have a doorknob, it doesn't have the hinges. It's just to create the illusion of symmetry, order in the building. Now, I want to present to you somebody. I don't know if you ever heard about him. Have you ever heard about Benjamin Franklin? Yeah?
Who's that guy?
Here he is. Benjamin Franklin, right? Yeah. If you met Benjamin Franklin in this time period, and you ask Benjamin Franklin, hey, Benjamin Franklin, where is Independence Hall? He will not know what you're talking about. Because even though Benjamin Franklin worked in this building, for him, this building was called the Pennsylvania State House. So welcome to the Capitol building of the English province of Pennsylvania. So this was not called Independence Hall originally. People were not thinking about independence. It was just the Capitol building of Pennsylvania. The governor was on the 2nd floor. The Assembly of Pennsylvania was behind you. And right here where you are right now, what do you think this room was used for? Look at the room. What do you think this room was used for? What?
Court.
A court. Yes. This was a courtroom. Look at this, right? This was the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. La Corte Suprema de Pennsylvania. This place right here, right? So you can see the judges, right? You can see also the lawyers, abogados here, right? And also, what do you think this was used for? The prisoner or the defendant, right? So, what happened is that if you were accused of a crime, this is where you have to stand. You stand and trial. So, you have to stand and trial, look at the judges here, and you will be closed here in this cage here, right? Or this prisoner's dock. Now, do you think it will be looking, do you look innocent standing here? Probably not too much for today's standards, right? But if you're male and a British subject, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty, right? You also have a right under the British common law to have a witness there, to have a jury here, and to have a public trial. Who is the public here? You guys are the public. You're watching my trial behind the bar, right? The people that can pass the bar are the lawyers working here, right? You ever thought about that? If you pass the bar, you become a lawyer? Yeah? So the people here practicing law, the public is here. So this is justice, justicia, or justicia, right? How many of you like to be treated justly? Yeah? You want to look at this small room here, this very small room. There's actually 13 tables here. What do you think they represent? The 13 British colonies. This is the place where they made that hard decision, where they had that crossroad. This is the place that eventually they declared their independence. By July 2nd, 1776, the Second Continental Congress meeting here, delegates, representatives of each of the 13 colonies voted for their independence, July 2nd. And July 4th is when they accepted the document they actually had to be given by Thomas Jefferson and the Committee of Five, right? So they took 2 days actually to make some changes in the Declaration of Independence, and then on 4th of July, this is the final version of the Declaration. You're gonna notice it's not handwritten, right? And it does not have all the signatures yet. Because the first thing they wanted to do is to spread the word as quickly as they can. And they noticed they didn't have Wi-Fi. So to spread the word as quickly as they can, they used a machine called the printing press. And they printed out probably like 200 copies of these, and they wanted to make it viral. They wanted to let know everybody in the 13 colonies that Congress decided for independence. The handwritten one that you usually see with the signatures, that was later. That was on August 2nd, and it was signed here in the middle of the room. So first, spread the word, and then make it official, right? Now, remember we were talking about that they were destroying the coat of arms? Right? That same day, there's a colonel that exits the building, and he reads the Declaration of Independence to the people of Philadelphia. And once he gets to the second paragraph, Colonel Nixon will say these words. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And once Colonel Nixon finishes reading the 27 grievances they have against their king, they know now that they're pledging each other their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. And we enter a bloody war with one of the biggest and most formidable empires of that time period. But we have help. We have help from France, from Spain, and later by the Dutch. And we work together, and in the end, we gain our independence. By 1783, we have our independence. But you know what? We still don't have peace yet. Because now these new independent states, they are like little countries. They have their own constitutions. They have their own money. They don't want to pay taxes. We don't have a government that can impose taxes to construct the country. So they're arguing, they're fighting with each other. So in 1787, there is a secret meeting in this room. 1787, eventually there will be 55 men here on this road in summer 1787. So how do you think it felt in here? Pretty toasty here, yeah. And 12 states were represented here, 12 states. Anybody here from Rhode Island? They still don't come here. Except Rhode Island, 12 states are represented here. And after 4 months of heat, of fighting, discussing, debating, and making compromises, in the end, they come out with a constitution. The Constitution of the United States. This is the preamble of the Constitution. And this was created and signed here. We, the people of the United States. So where does the power of the government come from? The people, from us. In order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, provide domestic tranquility, right? And it continues on. But I want to express these words, we the people. Do you think everybody was represented and we the people justly, equally, fairly? Underneath we the people, unfortunately, there were words that referred to people as 3/5 of a person, right? Other persons or persons in labor. Those were enslaved people that existed in this country. Slavery was not abolished here on this road. So to continue our history, I want to show you somebody that came here to Independence Hall who was not born free, right? This is Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass, he escaped from slavery from Maryland. He eventually heads up to Philadelphia. Eventually, people will pay for his freedom. And in 1844, Frederick Douglass is doing a speech back there against slavery. He's with 200 abolitionists behind Independence Hall. Now, have you ever seen this person? A couple of times, right? Abraham Lincoln, right? Abraham Lincoln became president of the United States in 1861. And he visited this room. And he became very emotional when he was in this room, because he was thinking about that Declaration of Independence and what was the original intention of this document. Once he heads to Washington, D.C. as president, actually there's a war. It's called the Civil War. So we're not fighting against Great Britain, we're fighting against ourselves. And 700,000 Americans die in this horrible war. Abraham Lincoln, as president, is assassinated in 1865 in Washington, D.C. And I'm showing you that because eventually, when they're carrying his body back home, eventually his body was brought here. So if you look at this newspaper from 1865, you can see closely there's a coffin. And actually there was a statue of George Washington there. Pictures of our forefathers. The Liberty Bell was here, and Abraham Lincoln was lying in this room. So this was a place of mourning for many people. And 100,000 people entered through the windows to pay respect to a fallen president, where we declared our independence, where we made our Constitution here of the United States. In 1876, we're celebrating 100 years of independence.
Take a look around before we head on upstairs as well to grab pictures then. But I would like to welcome you to Congress Hall. My name is Sarah. We will be spending about 20 minutes together today exploring both floors of this lovely building. But we are going to get started down here, chat a little bit about the building's life from 1790 to 1800, and then we'll head upstairs and say hi to the Senate after that. The building you've walked into today, it's the original one. It's from 1787, but wasn't built to be Congress. It was actually built to be the county courthouse. But in 1790, there is a really big agreement called the Residency Act that does a ton of stuff. But for us, the big thing it does is it moves the United States Capitol from New York City here to Philadelphia. For 10 years, they timer on it as we build Washington, D.C. It does mean that we have to find places to put everything. So this building is pretty new, pretty shiny, and both houses of Congress move on it. The opposite corner that you might have walked past to get through security, City Hall, will be used by the Supreme Court a few weeks out of each year. And then at 6th and Market Streets, one block that direction, George Washington and then John Adams will rent a friend's home to serve as the presidential house. So we have smashed all three branches of the federal government into a single block. Ever been down to DC? A little bit bigger? Maybe just a little bit? I had a kid on a tour a couple weeks ago who was like, no! Which pretty much just told me that kid had always been in the stroller the entire time that they had been in DC and never had actually had to walk. So we are crowded, we are extremely busy, and we are very new. And we don't know exactly what's going on. So we have to do things like figure out how many people are in the country. We didn't know. We go off, we do a census, it comes back, we get twice as many people as we thought. Meaning we need almost twice as many people in this room. We start with 65 members of the House. By the time we leave here, we have 107. And they were pretty much seated the way you guys are. 3 rows, dark tables, dark chairs. We know what the furnishings look like. We have purchasing records and bills of sale. We even know what the carpeting would have looked like. The kicker being that the chairs you all are enjoying are from about 1995. Okay, no one in here is particularly upset about that. Normally there's somebody who's like, all I wanted to do is sit in the chair of some guy whose name I've never heard. Because there's really only one dude whose name here, you know. The challenge with that is that if they were the original chairs, you wouldn't be anywhere near them. And you'd all have to stand. Oh, you seem fine with that. Like, I have that power. I can make you all stand. Okay, there we go. We're all alive. All right. We also have 1 day of a seating chart. 1795, member of the House from New York named Philip Van Cortlandt draws us the House floor. And Mr. Van Cortlandt is obviously an excellent draftsman. Gives us a really good sense of the space. Got those side aisles, 3 rows, lets us know where the Speaker of the House was. He also gives us some more information. The 2 colors represent the political parties at the time. These are arbitrary colors. They are meaningless. We just picked them. The Federalists and the Democratic Republicans. And these guys have sat wherever they wanted to. This isn't like today. This is more like first day of school, and they haven't seen their friends in 6 months, and they want to hang out. They're not even grouped by their state. Mr. Van Cortlandt also lets us know that we've got a couple clerks down here. And the people he doesn't have on this map are the public and the press who are up in the balcony. And apparently coming out to watch Congress in the 1790s was a pretty entertaining experience. That place was packed almost consistently. People
We then got lunch in the Reading Terminal Market, where my mum and dad got Philly cheesesteaks and I got sushi. Stop it, what are you doing? We also saw Matt Bloom, who was a WWE star.
He sent letters to try to talk to him. Yeah.
In the afternoon we went to the Museum of the American Revolution.
It was really good.
It was alright. It had George Washington's original tent that he stayed in during the war and had a lot of guns and stuff.
The museum was cool because it was laid out in a way where you could walk around the entire thing without having to like divert or go a different direction, because it was all in just one big swirly line around the main hall, which then ended in a big, like, well, not big, but small amphitheatre room where it showed you George Washington's original war tent, which was cool.
Oh, I just said that.
I agree. We are defending our land and our families. We must help the Continental soldiers defend Fort Skyland. We can scout and warn them of the enemy's approach. We will be their eyes and ears in the forest.
Young man, you have not seen what war can do. If our Confederacy nations attack each other, the great peace will be broken. Then how will we protect ourselves from those who would take all of our lands? The British and the colonists are like a pair of scissors, two knives that look like they will destroy each other when they come together. But they only destroy what is between them. We are Haudenosaunee, people of the Longhouse, Mohawk, Oneida, Tuscarora, Onondaga, Cayuga, Seneca. The Great Law tells us not to spill each other's blood.
If the other nations enter our lands with the British, then the Great Peace is already broken.
It's the late summer of 1777, and the British are on the move. General Howe's army has sailed from New York, landed in Maryland, and is now marching north to attack Philadelphia, the American capital. In his path lies the Brandywine River. General George Washington, seeking the advantage of higher ground, hopes to force the fight at Chad's Ford. But the British outflank the Americans and prepare to assault the Birmingham Meeting House, which is defended only by the men of the 3rd Virginia Regiment. The date is September 11th, 1777.
The dusk of the evening was then on. Awful was the scene to behold. The doors of the meeting house were torn off, and the wounded carried in for use as a hospital. Such a number of fellow beings lying together severely wounded and some mortally, groaning and lamenting in a most grievous manner. We beheld the destruction and wanton waste committed on the property of the peaceful inhabitants of the neighborhood.
Outnumbered but not outfought, the 3rd Virginia Regiment pinned the British troops down for nearly an hour, keeping General Howe's army from routing the entire American force. 2 weeks later, the British march unopposed into the city of Philadelphia. They hold American troops as prisoners of war in Independence Hall.
How do we deal with that?
Being a bit fans, like the boundary and bridge and stuff. That was the Americans.
British person.
Remember like that house with where they had the desk for Washington, that house. No, not really. Just sit in the bottom. I'm a wild guy.
Tiger, subscribe.
I like the movie.
Thumbs up.
Can you stop filming now?